and perfected by Edward Bernays, the master of propaganda and public relations. That's how this is being presented. We know better. We know, as we've heard from many of the speakers, and Jasmine summed it up brilliantly, that this is just a stepping stone towards the New World Order nightmare future that the psychopaths have lined up for us. But they're not going to succeed. Right? There's a reason why Oxford has been chosen as the blueprint for all of this. I know a thing or two about this city. I was born here. I grew up in the area. Used to work on Fox FM, for anyone that remembers that, back in the day. DJ'd at the Park End Club. But more recently, I've worked as a private hire driver up until COVID. And I used to have in the back of the car people like big pharma executives, lecturers and professors from the university. And I would hear some of the conversations that went on in the back of the car. Oxford has been selected because it's perceived as a place which is very system-minded, where people listen to establishment sources. But I would suggest that they've made a tactical error with this one, and that they've overreached. And the great turnout we see here today is indicative of that. When the reality of what these 15-minute cities really are going to mean for people in their regular daily lives hits home and the penny drops, there is going to be massive resistance to the attempted theft of our rights and freedoms.
Yes!
In George Orwell's 1984, which seems like a fitting story, the character O'Brien says to Winston Smith, "If you want a vision of the future, Winston, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever." I say to hell with that vision of the future. Woo! I have two potential visions of the future myself. In one, we're all standing around in a Soviet Cold War era gulag in the exercise yard, looking at each other, scratching our heads, saying, how the hell did we end up here? In the other vision of the future, the one which I prefer, at some point we're all sitting with our grandchildren on our knee, and they're saying to us, Granddad, Grandma, what were you doing in the early 2020s when the psychopaths attempted to take away our future and plunge us into this New World Order nightmare? And we can look them in the eye and we can say, sweetheart, I was doing everything I could with every fibre of my being to resist it. And you know what? We put it down. Our generation put down this threat. I want to be able to say that, and I believe we all will. We need to say that we saw what was coming, and we said, you want to do what? Not on our watch. Not on our watch. The answer is no. Thank you.
I know I've already done it once, but BBC. Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
All right, look, I jest. I think you're all right. You're a cameraman. I'm trying to cover myself now. We are peaceful, but shame on you. No, seriously, guys, we know that you're laughing. He's laughing, everyone. He's probably, you know that we're telling the truth, and you know that we're on the right side of history, BBC. So as long as you report the truth, then we're all right with you. Anyway, our next speaker, most of you are going to know as well. This guy, he's pretty much an expert in leadership and human potential. This guy has been with us from the very beginning as well. He's been talking to you, he does a podcast, he's been speaking the truth, and he's done an awful lot for the freedom movement, human rights and civil liberties. So please make some noise for Dan Astin-Gregory.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Great to see so many people here. Now, I'm guessing you people at the front have already made up your mind that this is a really bad idea to introduce these schemes, am I right? Great. So I want to speak to the people who have come here out of curiosity today to find out what's going on. Because the reality is, our dear friends at the BBC and others aren't really speaking about this at all. But this is a global rollout of a scheme called the 15-minute cities. And when people say that, you know, the press, like the BBC, will say, oh, it's a grand, the conspiracy theorists are saying it's a grand conspiracy. Well, if you look at it, it's an open conspiracy because you've got organisations like the C40 and the Global Covenant of Mayors who've all signed up to the idea that we do these 15-minute cities. And in the UK, already 100 plus councils have said, yes, we're going to do what Oxford are doing and others before them. And with everything that's been spoken here today, there's always an emotional plea to some utopian ideal. And I can understand it. I can understand the appeal of a green city with, you know, lots of beautiful areas for our children to play in. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't actually want to live in an area where there's lots of great amenities nearby? We all want that kind of thing. So where are the checkbooks at the local councils in terms of investing in beautifying the area, investing in industry, investing in local jobs? You would expect a 15-minute scheme which promises these wonderful ideals of everything you need within 15 minutes of your doorstep to actually be out there actively building and investing in your local community. But how many people know a local or national government that is spending their money wisely at the moment? You know, this is a left-leaning city, I know that. And again, the media will say, oh, the right wingers came here today. I've been politically homeless all of my life. There's things on the left I like, there's things on the right I like, there's things on the left I'm appalled by, and there's things on the right I'm appalled by. But the reality, no wonder why you're politically homeless in the state of affairs we find ourselves in here today. But the governments are needlessly spending our money on war and, you know, cronyism and all the things that billions have been spent through the last 3 years on COVID, leaving us in quite a precarious situation. So no, we're not facing a beautiful 15-minute city where everything is wonderfully available on your local doorsteps, wonderful education for your children, beautiful parks, wonderful amenities, lovely restaurants. If that was really what was on offer, you would see people's legs matching their mouths and taking action to actually build vibrant communities. And I'm sure we'd all agree with that ideal. That's the promise. But like every con man, it's a missed sale. We're being missold. Because what's on offer, rather than this beautiful, lovely, vibrant environment on your doorstep, is surveillance, carved CCTV, watching your every move, blockade, stopping you moving around the city, and completely removing your ability to travel freely. And the reality is this, within every utopian ideal, there has to be realism and practical reality. There has to be pragmatism. You know, if you're a major employer in Oxford, how are your employers going to get to you if you're only able to get within 15 minutes to your city? Now, of course, there's exemptions. Right, okay. All this language we're getting used to for your own safety, exemptions. It's all become normalized in this new normal. Who accepts the new normal, by the way? I think it's time that we define a brighter future for ourselves. It's time for us to take the power back and say, actually, we do want vibrant, beautiful, lovely communities on our doorstep. But who's going to build them? If we wait for the government, we'll be waiting the rest of our lives. It's down to you and I. It's down to each one of us to say, actually, I'm going to take personal responsibility in this decade, and I'm going to make a difference in my community. I'm going to lock arms at people next to me, left and right. I don't care where they lean politically, but I'm going to make a decision to actually make a beautiful community. And we're going to say no to the state powers that are trying to intervene and micromanage every single detail of our lives. There's a great paternalism about the government. They think they're your parents. The reality is that we're adults. We don't need other parents. We don't need more parents. And the hard thing is this. I grew up, I'm 39 years old. I turned 40 this year. I grew up in the days of analog television. Who can remember analog television? And then it started to get a little bit digital when I was a child. And there was this parental control setting, which would prevent you as a child from seeing things that are unacceptable to see. Now, my parents never switched that on because they simply taught me. They taught me a lesson about what's acceptable for a young child to consume. They taught me to understand principles and values, and therefore they enabled me to make my own decisions. They could have just switched it off so I couldn't ever learn for myself, and that's the kind of world that we're living in right now, is that people want to shut you down and take control. What kind of lesson are we sending to our children if that's the way we live? Why don't we empower people and nurture people to actually make a difference in our community rather than shutting us down and stopping our movement and preventing us from living our lives? And I agree with everything that's been said here today. Thank you. We must stop it at its roots. This is a cause set in motion. It's already happening. And the resistance is building, but they're acting fast and they've got a lot more money and power than we have. But we've got people power. We've got people power. And when we come out in numbers and we have the courage to share the stories with one another and speak our true voice, because you know what, we've been suppressed for so long, we're slammed the media. The minute we say anything that goes against the narrative, you're slammed. It's time to have the courage to go beyond that. Regardless of what the media say about what happened here today, we know what happened here today. We were here. We're living it. We're breathing it. We're not afraid to challenge authority. But we are willing to challenge authority on the basis that we do want a brighter future. We do want that nice ideal. But we know that it's only going to happen if we take matters into our own hands. And that's why we're here today. Thank you very much.
The BBC guy's behind me now. I'm kind of glad he's moved. You're just going to get a shot of my bum. Anyway, guys, we've only got one more speaker, and you are going to be marching very, very soon. And as you do go towards that direction in which you'll be marching, can you please pick up some of the postcards we have, because they're from messages to the council. So in the last gazebo with the light papers and the flyers, you'll see some postcards for Oxford Council, if you can collect them and fill them in a bit later on. Now, our last speaker, everyone will know as well. Now, a group called Save Our Rights, again, have been standing for our human rights and civil liberties since all of this started. And we know this is all connected and it's all about control. And Louise is going to tell you a bit about digital ID. And like we said, this is all about control. It is all connected. We are just the resistance. And this today is just a demonstration of mass non-compliance, peacefully, of course. But can everyone make some noise for Louise Creffield of Save Our Rights?
Hi everyone. Obviously our primary focus here in Oxford today is to prevent the 15-minute cities with mandates. But what we have to be aware of is just how many avenues they are taking to exert control over us all. At the moment, they are actively trying to bring in digital IDs. Now, this is something that we talked about for many years, but now it's on the government website. It's no longer a conspiracy, it's a fact. As is always the way, we're just usually a couple of years early. On the website, it states that they want not only your name, your date of birth, but your passport details, your driving license number, your transaction details, and your photographs. Now, when we've got a rise in ANPR cameras and facial recognition cameras, then that could ultimately pave the way for total control. Obviously, they're not saying that's what they're going to use it for at this point, but we have no accountability, no way to measure, no mechanisms to challenge them if they do. Because at the moment, we see in Birmingham, they've got fines for low emission zones. 30,000 people a month are not paying those fines. That is the power we need. Phenomenal effort of mass non-compliance in a peaceful, reasonable way. However, if they bring in digital IDs and they've got your transaction details and they can restrict your benefits or they can restrict your pension, it's not going to be possible. They will just take that money straight from you. So all of these things are linked, and this is where we have to keep an eye on absolutely everything. We have to be constantly vigilant. At the moment, they are running a consultation. This consultation is designed on purpose to be exceptionally difficult. If you oppose digital IDs, for the first two-thirds of the consultation, you want to strongly disagree. But then suddenly it all switches and you start needing to agree because they've worded it in a way to trip you up. However, we created a guide to help people do it. I don't think it's worth all of you spending 4 hours each trying to figure it out because that's just a waste of a collective time. So I spent many hours creating a guide so that you can do it in about 5-10 minutes. But you must do it because they take your silence as consent. So you might think they don't listen, but they do. They listen to numbers. They don't listen to individual voices. It doesn't matter if you write the best argument. It doesn't matter if you write an essay about why it's so bad. What matters is numbers. It is always a numbers game. And today we have numbers. So that is the key. Take the 5 minutes. Be part of the numbers, keep up the pressure in all respects because they do take silence as consent. I've made it really easy for you. You can find it on the Save Our Rights UK pages and it is all part of the same agenda. It's all coming together and if we want to resist tyranny, we've got to do it in every single way. So thanks for letting me share about that, but thank you so much for being here today. It's amazing, the people as far as the eye can see, every direction, you're all heroes. So give yourselves a big round of applause.
Well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much. We're going to let the music play you out, but if you want to make your way, turn around in this direction now. You're going to be making some noise and sending the message through Oxford. Thank you very much, guys.
First time actually met. Good, yeah. Very lonely. How's my second? Yeah, good, yeah. I look forward to bringing him to my school. Right.
I'll go. You need to say, have a community will say.
how we have at present. We're about to enter March. There's lots of I'm going to take it. Right? Yeah. There's not much to make. Someone at the front page. A heavy traffic neighbourhood, heavy with protesters. So, okay, so once we're here, just let me know in the comments if you can hear what I'm saying. I've got my remote mic here with me. Let me know. No sound, it says. No sound, let me know. Let me know if you can hear me. Just reset my mic, please. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me, whether you're watching this, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Type in the comments. It's patchy. Okay, I'm going to switch. Like there's a lot of there's obviously a lot of background here. There's everyone's using their phones, so signals, premium, handheld mic. Copyright strike. PM, you rails. Oh, amazing. I remember you from Bristol on the this system. Yeah. It's up. Don't mind. Yes, amazing. Part of your community, but also contracts. That's amazing. You got room in your bag to take back to Bournemouth. What's that? You got room in your bag to take back to Bournemouth? Yeah, please. Amazing. Was it you that emailed me? I just got it this morning. Okay. Oh, man. Thanks. Hold on. Mate. Really appreciate what you do. Oh, thank you. That's amazing. Oh, let me take a picture. I've got the camera facing the other way. I'll be back. Yeah. Yes. Yes, we love that. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to put one of these on. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Hold that one up again. Love is set his mind and meditate. Let the soul gravitate to the love, y'all. Amazing. Do you want to go on camera and tell me why you're here? What did we do? Yes. Alright, guys. Now I've just changed to a let me know. Hopefully we'll have a better sound now, plus the audio is only now. Whether you can hear me properly. And with cutting out very distorted, yeah, the problem is here now is there's a lot of, when I started recording during the lockdowns, there's not that many of our users, everyone's here with the camera, you know, so can't miss what's going on. But as such, it means that the recording now, the volume is probably the signal is pretty low. But you can see, hopefully you saw in that piece of footage that
okay, yeah.
Missed. It was actually very difficult to get in here because of the volume of people that are here to grateful to meet so many people that follow the podcast in the area, which is lovely. So it's alright. So a nice time meeting listeners and viewers. We're here now on the march, and as I said, I'm going to be showing today's events, but also more broadly around what's happening. It's raise awareness. We're here to talk about what does that mean. Also, like with any of these things, it always says on the outside. But it's talking about it as we get going. I'm just going to take a short break, and I'll be returning on all the channels in a moment: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Raise awareness that we'll be going live. I know many people, when they can't make it personally, they like to what's going on. So check out the footage on Facebook, Astin-Gregory, YouTube, Twitter. This will also be available on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.